you for via Zoom to our second meeting. Then this will take us all the way through our valuation notices this morning. So I will get started. So yesterday you got a very small release. There was only a couple things in it. But one thing that we felt was very, very important, and that's why we sent it out just in a small release, is on your assessor's menu, there's an option, and it's on tax M11. Susie, could you bring up my document here? I'll just pause just 1 second here. Okay. Can everyone see that? I think so. So on tax M11 number 17, and we added this a couple of years ago. It's called MP Group SSN Edit Listing. However, this was not really a listing that you could run in real time. It always had to have your auditor's office have a fresh tax calc for it to be useful. Well, that's not useful. That's not useful enough.
Woo!
There we go.
Okay.
Idea this year is that we want to take care of problems before tax statements because that is too late. That is too late. So this listing is actually the listing that's involved in your now it's called your homestead submission that your auditor's office will do. Previously it was the PTR homestead submission, and now they brought it down to one submission. And as you know, this was spoken about at our last meeting. We will be using the New Year Social Security file to do this listing. Okay, so that listing has been updated and loaded on your system. Our strong suggestion would be that you immediately run it, because if you haven't already certified your TC to your auditor's office, you will be doing so very, very shortly. And if you have, I guess I'd run it and see what comes of it, because we're still at the point that we could change something if we needed to. And like I stated, our whole idea this year, including Prism 3, which you aren't involved with, but is to take care of problems before the tax statements are sent, and then we're in a pickle because we have to figure out what to do, and the DOR is not very forgiving and all of that. So any questions from anyone on that particular point?
Say, Gwen.
Yes.
I see another comment come in. You are very hard to hear. You were very good. And then I think it switched over to like the Mike Kaler's computer or something. It got very hard to hear. I'm hearing it, but I just thought it was my computer.
Okay. So like where did you lose me?
Shortly after you kind of started the the
great.
MP group.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. It's about the same.
Okay, hold on. Let's do a test here.
You were very clear at the beginning.
Okay, how about now?
Much better.
Okay, so just to reiterate,
I think you came through clear enough. I mean, I was catching most of it, but it just wasn't as clear as before.
Okay. Okay, so I will just say that it's going to be talked about later as well. And if you have any questions today, please contact us, because we feel that this is one of the important legs of taking care of problems before tax statement. All right. The second thing that you got in the release last night was, as you all know, I'm sure, in the 25-26 year, the upper limit for our ag codes, the upper limit for the 0.5 was raised from 3.5 to 3.8 million. And you got that. So when you poured over your values for PAMA land calc, or anytime you run a new year TC calc, now you will get the upper limit of 3.8 million for your ag code. Okay, on to the valuation notices. So we talked about the change to the valuation notice, and one of our outsourcers had asked us to have the addresses in the same format as the tax statements. So the valuation notices and tax statements would match. And we have done that. That will be no change to you. You won't see anything really, but your outsourcer, and unfortunately, it shifted by one byte when we did all that. But we sent that to the 3 outsourcers, Forum, Tracy at Prima Data, and Magic something. Anyway, they all got that information. So you don't have it yet. The release is not loaded. We're still working on it, but we got far enough to send them the new format. Also on the valuation notices, we were asked to print a 0 instead of a blank for new construction. That will be done. And the class change on the homestead code. 2 things. We were asked, and we discussed it at our in-person meeting, and it came down to only when it goes from a mid-year to a full are we not going to check that box with the class change. Because technically, if you would go from a full to a vet, that would be a big difference, and that box probably should be checked for something like that. The second thing about the class change is it did not work correctly for correction parcels. So meaning if it originally was not checked and you did a correction parcel, it would not get updated. Now, that brings us to what is a correction parcel? So this happened like, I'm sure it's been 5 years or longer. We changed our process at CPT that when you go into value notices and you do a selective parcel and you update the information and you reprint a value notice. First of all, I don't know if everyone knows you can do that you can get a corrected valuation notice that way. And we'll get that into our sequence, but we want to bring it out here in case everyone does not know that you can actually get that to happen in our system as well. So the process was you'd go in, you'd update your value information, you'd do what you needed to do there, and then you'd go over to your value notices, you take selective parcel, you go through and print that notice. And then you would have to contact Sue so you could get it over to the web. People on our new tax web will not need to do that. And so it will happen automatically for you on the nightly. It will just port over, it will be there. So our push is if you have valuation notices on the web, we want to get everyone with valuation notices for sure on the new tax web by the time we would put them on. And we have about half of you there. So if you are somebody that does valuation notices on the web, you will be getting a call from us within the next few weeks, whatever, to get updated to the new tax web so that we don't have to go through the whole rigmarole of doing things that way. If you would do a corrected value notices. That is all I have on valuation notices. We are going through that again a little later in the meeting. So I am going to just ask if there's any questions. Anything in the chat, Susie?
No.
Okay, I'll turn it over to Jeff here.
All right, cause I really don't got much as, Susie sent out the release for the new year.
The sequence.
The sequence for the new year, any questions on that, I guess?
Nothing has changed on the porting over of CAMA land calc. We did make that change last year that we kind of consolidated the options. That's the same, completely the same.
Somebody says, what is this release? I did not receive anything.
Not a release, a sequence. Should have
Or
said
sequence,
sequence.
that's what I
We
meant,
did do a
sequence.
release last night,
Yes, last night we did, but when,
but it's not a land calc camera.
No.
The release was this information here, and this will be posted on the web with the information from this meeting.
yep,
But the land calc camera is not a release. It's at the end of your
Sequence.
new year sequence. There's the land calc camera transfer information.
okay. Any questions on that piece?
It says, what is the website where I can find this info? We will upload the Zoom recording for this meeting and send a link to the website probably later this week. Once we get everything uploaded later this week, early next week, I would say for sure within a week of today, you'll have that link. Okay.
So who is next?
Okay, I am going to go over. Oh, hold on, I should share the screen first. Okay. So you got this document. We typically send this out in like later in the spring, but because of the changes the state has made, like Gwen said, we made changes to the program. So it now went out now, and in the future, it'll go out middle of January. So you are reminded to run through it before giving your auditor your final abstract. What we really wanted to point out is that it will actually list the MP number and the choice number. This is looking at the DOR wants your 2024-25 tax data and your 2025-26 social security data. So as we go through this, option 2, where you're looking at your tax data, we say take a no and look at your 2024-25 tax data. The reason we want you to do this now is so that if, as you're looking at these, you find one where you don't necessarily need to add a social security number, it actually needs to change MP groups or change a homestead code, that can affect your tax capacities and can affect your auditors' information and their taxes. That's something that you would want to do before your final abstract. So if you've already given your auditors your final abstract, every county except Lake of the Woods has this update. You can run this today. If there are social security numbers you need to add, you can add them anytime before we submit the homestead file later this spring. But if there are any changes to the 2024-25 data, you would want to do that now. So if you go and you run option 17, you're going to look at the MP number and the choice number. If you take option 9, and look that up in the MP listing. Let me just pull that up here. So for those of you who haven't done this before, because I know we have a couple. We're going to be in our assessor's menu and take option 1. In here, you're going to run option 17. It takes a couple of minutes to run because it's pulling a lot of data. Once you get that, you're going to take option 9 to pull up that information. Now we're looking at the current year information, not new year information for this social security number file. This listing, it notes it at the top, if you only have one set of files on, you can look at that same set of files. It's pulling from that same set of files. It's if you have 2 sets of files on, you're going to be looking at the tax data for your older set of files, your current files, and your social security numbers in your new set of files, your new year files. So if you look at that example on the sheet, you can see that I have two MP numbers. I'm going to look for which MP number do I want to look at for those files and pull this up and see what's going on here. I want to see I'm looking at this MP number and it's saying there's an issue in the 200 choice code. So if I look at this MP number and the 200 choice code, this is my record in question. I would go look at that record and figure out, do I just need to put a social security number on that record? If you want to change anything on the value maintenance screen for that record, again, you would want to do that now. That's why we're sending this out now. If all you need to do is add a social security number, you can go into option 1 in your new year and update your social security number. Now there is an error on this, on your version of this paper. It's been corrected here and it's corrected on our website, and I will put the corrected one on the link for this meeting. But there are two situations where you do not have to, you need a social security number, but you don't need a real social security number. Those are for cross-county parcels. If you have a cross-county parcel that is a cross-county N, meaning you are not the home county, you need to make sure you have a cross-county N record for that MP choice code. Then you can input a 222222 and the state will accept it. If you don't have a cross-county N, you can get dinged and they'll send it back to you, and because this is only for cross-county situations where you are not the home county. The other situation is for individuals who do not have a social security for religious reasons. This would be like Amish, those types of folks who maybe don't have a social security number. For them, you would input 1111111111. Questions, reach out. But that is the basics of this. You can now run it any time of year. We recommend running it now. There's a question on the chat. There's a question on the chat. What is a cross-county N record? So if we go into, from your assessor's menu, if you go into option 2, we're talking about the maintain carryover values here. If we go into maintain carryover values, we would be looking at our old year, because for the values, they want to use the old year or our current year tax file. So no, not the new year. And then we're going to look for one here where you have it's in the cross county, and N means you are not the home county. These ones where you are the home county, you should have a real social security number. If you have a cross county where you are not the home county and you do not have a social security number for this, and this is actually, so for MP number 2100 and choice code group 100, I can use all twos for a social security number. If you have a question about any of that, always reach out. We will dig into it with you and help you figure it out. All right, so we have something else quick. We sent out the sales ratio year-end sequence. And for those of you who are maybe new to that, we'll run through that real quick here. If you are somebody who likes to look at what we're doing while we're doing it, you can certainly pull it out. So for the sales ratio year-end sequence, there we go. Just quickly through the steps. Step 1 of that sequence is to back up your sales ratio files. You're going to go into your sales ratio sequence or subsystem, which is in your miscellaneous tax files. And you're going to run option 16 to back up files. Once it's done, it will say the save is completed. Press enter to continue. Then you know that it happened the way it was supposed to. The next option is you would go into here, Option 2, system maintenance. And then there you go into option 1 and change your year to 2025. You shouldn't really have to change anything else. Once you're in 2025, you're gonna run take option 7 and run the reorganization. Warning that this runs immediately and you need to make sure there's no one in CAMA and land calc when it's running. It's gonna delete inactive items. Then we take option 8 and we shift the market values. You want to make sure that it says you're starting from 10/24 and your previous date was 10/23. You can see in my files, I already shifted, so I would not want to do this again. It would tell you your last shift should be the previous year, and then now you're shifting for our current year. Watch for this warning if you've already shifted. And then we'll take option 9 and update them. Same thing, it's gonna tell you you're updating for the 10/24, and it's gonna tell you when your previous update was. Your previous should be 10/23. Pretty quick sequence gets you set up for the next set of sales ratio files. If anyone has questions, speak now. Otherwise, we are ready for valuation notices. I will stop my screen share here.
All right, can everybody see that? Oops, valuation notices for 2025. Where are we getting that? Sure why it's echoing.
I'm wondering if your computer's picking you up in it.
It's not going off the mic in
If
yours.
you look at your Zoom.
Okay, how does that sound? Is it echoey yet? Can you all hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, good Lord.
Thank you.
Okay, can everybody hear me now without echoing?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. My name is Liz Dingman and I'll be going over the valuation notices for 2025. And you guys would have received this sequence very recently. A couple housekeeping rules. You need to do the assessor's new year file create sequence before starting this sequence. If you don't do that, this will not work. And if you're questioning, has it been done yet? You'll know if it's been done if you receive this message, are you maintaining values for the 2025, 2026 tax year? You'll get it anytime you go into valuation file maintenance. So keep in mind, you cannot send out the valuation notices until this file exists. The first thing you're going to want to do is verify that your 2025 CAMA and land calc values have been transferred to tax billing. And you will want to update, proof, and transfer your CAMA and land calc values as applicable to your county. This is completed during attachment A and B in the assessor's new year file create sequence that should have been done. And as a reminder, do a mass calc on the CAMA and land calc side before transferring to tax. The next thing you want to do is make and proof your final updates to your 2025 values. And again, in addition to transferring the CAMA and land calc values, you may want to wish to utilize or any of the following value maintenance programs under listings. And I have these listed below what you'll want to do. And again, when this question pops up about maintaining values for the 2025 tax year, you always want to put yes. So you're doing it in the new year files. If you don't, it's going to update the old year files. After you do those maintenance adjustments, you'll want to calculate your tax capacity values for real estate and mobile home. And I have listed the steps on how to get there again. It takes place in tax M12 and option number 3, calculate tax capacity value. And then when you're doing mobile home, make sure you're in the mobile home subsystem. Excuse me, the mobile home subsystem, and you'll be taking option number 3 on that subsystem, calculate tax capacity values. Once that is done, you're going to want to proof your system edits 1 and 2. That is located in your tax M10 menu, option number 19 and 20. Run both of those. And just so you know, it's a good practice to be running the system edits 1 and 2 on a regular basis to address any issues that may arise. And make sure you have addressed all the terminal errors on these lists as well.
We did have one come up this morning where there's a sometimes erroneous terminal error. And that is the market value, but no TC. There are situations now, for example, if you have a vet and all of their market value is being taken away by their vet, where it's not terminal to have market value and no TC, but you still always need to look into that and make sure it's a legitimate situation.
That's okay. Once you have everything updated as you wish and you've calculated your tax capacity, you can go into the valuation notice part of the menu options, and you can start working on your notices. The first thing you want to do is update your notice information, and this will be inputting your meeting input information, dates, times, etc. That type of thing. And the second thing that you're going to want to do is print the notice information, and you'll want to print this accordingly, proof listing to verify the meeting date and times that you just set up, and make sure you're listing the Township Board of Review and County Board of Equalization. Verify that the assessor's title, address, and postage information is correct. The next thing you're going to want to do is zero out the state assessed values. The land value will not change since that is assessed locally. This is in your tax M10 menu, option number 3, miscellaneous assessor listings, and then tax M13, list notice of evaluation equal EQ notices. And then option number 7, zero out the state assessed. You'll get the following message. You'll get this, it'll look like this right here when you do this process, and it'll show you all the assessment codes that will be zeroed out.
Liz, this is Bonnie with Pope County.
Hmm?
And with this zeroing out of the state assessment codes, are the new codes going to be in there, like the ones that we're not using taken out and the new ones that we are, or do we have to watch that?
Well, we haven't taken out anything yet. That will be coming. So there are no ones that have been taken out, but yes, we did add the 421, 422 in there, which actually, as it turns out, the 421 isn't in real estate anyway.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Another housekeeping rule, and Susie mentioned this before, but if you're printing in-house statements, please contact Sue and to get on her schedule, and she will work with you on setting up that so you can do that in-house. The next step will be printing the notices of valuation. Again, option number 15, list notice of values, EQ notice, and then number 3, print the notices. The screen will appear below as shown, and then it'll give you options on how you want to print, etc. Do you want to do it by parcels, townships, by zip code, county, township, etc., etc. Also, the following sequence options are available, and it kind of details out option number 1, selected parcels, etc. It prints 1 parcel at a time. Options 2 through 8, it prints all or selected parcels. Option number 9, proof parcels. This will be sent to your outsourcer. And then you also have the option of alternate taxpayer, by the owner name or secondary name. And you guys should all be familiar on how you want your selections to go. The next thing you're gonna do is create your valuation notice outsource file. That is option number 4. The screens for this option are the same as those offered in option number 3. See step 9 of the sequence that we sent out for details regarding them. Instead of listing the notices to your spooled file, a PC file will be created in your tax bill folder named EQ Notice, and you'll want to zip this file to your outsourcer. Any additional listings will generate to your spooled file. If you have questions on zipping your file, let us know and we can help you with that. And this outsource file is also used to load notices to the web. If you wish to have your valuations notice loaded to the web, please contact Sue as well, and she will get in touch and verify the date and time you created it.
So we don't need to do that even for the first set anymore. When you make your inquiry file, that will automatically go to the web.
Right, not unless we don't get everyone on the web by then.
So if you have the new web,
Web,
we'll make that note when we put it, when we make
Sure.
our website. If you have our new web, you do not have to do that. And if you have our old web, you still do have to do that. Okay.
Okay. The next part is the creating the valuation notice inquiry file, which is option number 5. Creating the valuation notice inquiry file does not, excuse me. You create this file so that you can do an EQ note and L note. These options also generate your notices so that information in your system will match what was sent. Accessing the file by typing EQ note in the quick access field of the inquiry program or valuation maintenance screen. And remember that quick access is in the bottom right-hand corner of most every screen. It's those little dots, and you can type EQ note and or L note. And you'll get a PDF pop-up of that notice. It's a handy little tool. And if you should need to reprint a corrected value notice, you'll want to go into option number 15 again, list notices of valuation, and then go ahead and create the inquiry file. You'll want to choose the parcel to print and make sure it's a selective parcel. And you will be able to get a corrected value notice at that time.
And this is what also will populate the web for
yes,
those new web folks.
yes.
And that is step 12 of our sequence. So it is in the sequence.
Mhm. So I know that was quick, but the valuation notice sequence that was sent to you guys in the agenda, and you guys should all have that by now. And if you have any questions, give us a call.
So if you have questions, speak up or put them in the chat. I do have a question here from before. I didn't see it till this had started. It says, where is the edit listing for percentage of change? And I believe that's talking about sales ratio. Because that's what
Or
we're
is
talking
it,
about.
is it in the system edits? There's a percent of change in there and you can put your percent in.
Right, if it's so, Jason, if you want to let us know what your question is, we can walk through that. Carlos, maybe I'll.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we
Yes.
can hear you.
Okay, yeah, so what, like if so, I want to find out if somebody accidentally put in $1 million 10 by 12 shed, you know?
Oh, that's in the system edits.
Okay, so if we go into our system edits here, and that's gonna be 19, right? Edit 1 is looking at parcels, edit 2 is looking at MP groups. So if we go into option 1, and we are looking at, well, it depends on what you're doing, but
In the morning,
I have to do warning. So that's going to be
building or land value greater, right on the,
right
right,
here.
yeah,
Okay, right there. Okay.
Current market.
yeah, or
this
that one.
much
Mm-hmm.
Greater, yeah, building value over. So those are the two places you would change these if you wanted to see specific information. Another question, is there a report that shows all parcels in Kama with a percentage complete on a building?
Report generator.
That would have to be a report generator. Mm-hmm.
There's an option for that. I can help them with that.
So if you wanted to set up a report generator for that, you can contact Jeff. Speaking of report generator, our new report generator is headed out to counties. We've stalled out a little bit because everyone's getting busy with tax season, but as people have time and are ready to get on it, we can certainly keep getting more counties using that new report generator. I would say the folks that have used it so far are pretty happy with it. It's a lot more user friendly. Okay, thank you, they say. Any other questions? You want to monitor the chat? Sure. Once I start sharing my screen, I can't see it very well. Okay. So we'll just run through the mini abstract and prism here. All right. So hopefully you can see my screen preparing for the spring prism submission. This is going through your assessor's mini abstract sequence. Good one, let me. There we go. So step 1 is actually going to be steps 1 through 3 of your sequence. It's making sure your land calc and your tax data are both up to date. Making sure you have your final TC calc done, and then checking your plat law, which is step 3. There's instructions in the sequence, and we went through that in December. It's a good idea to run some of these listings and then use them to just kind of double check and proof your abstract once you build it. Then we do our system edits. We just walked through a lot of the system edits. If you're interested in information about that, there's in Appendix A of this mini abstract sequence, there's information about system edits 1 and 2, possible errors. Again, you want to fix all terminal with the possible exception of that one that we talked about. That would be step 4. Step 5, it's a good idea to run your Prism edits. We do not want you running your Prism file or submitting Prism until we send out the Prism sequence, but it's a good idea to run these Prism edits to make sure everything looks good for your abstract, your spring mini, not your abstract, your spring mini abstract. The first 2 are comparing tax to land calc. The first one is looking at acres. The second one is looking at land. And the second one, they want you to set up that transfer file and make sure everything looks good. It's going to show you when things just look goofy, like you know, not the same in tax as it is in land calc. You're going to want them to be matching for your Prism file. The second set are looking at things that the system thinks are goofy. So like your state codes and your assessment codes, they think, are you sure you want these to go together? Or for 4, you have an ag class, but you don't have the kind of acreage that we think you should have. Here you have tillable value, but no tillable acres. These are heads ups, go look, make sure this is the way you want it to be. And then your last 2 for your Prism edits are looking at building site value and looking at green acres value. Obviously, you're only going to get a green acres if you have green acres, which not everybody does. Green acres is comparing land calc to tax. The building site value is doing a similar thing here too. Do you want to run through those, make sure everything looks good before you accumulate your mini? When you accumulate your mini, you have to set it up when you're setting it up, if there's something that you added or that you need to change, remember you can go over here and press F2 to see what the available options are. At the point when you accumulate, your system will generate 3 other edit listings. 2 of the edit listings are comparing parcel and township values. So you should see a lot of the same information. If there's a township where the item numbers they think are off, then there's probably going to be parcels where the values are off. So the parcel listing should be able to help you fix the township listing. If you run into a situation where it doesn't, that's when it's a good time to contact us and let us dig into it for you. The third listing has other error messages, and there's information about these other error messages in your mini abstract reference. Sort of the first page of that mini abstract reference document goes through these available error messages in more detail and explains what they are. See explanations in the spring mini abstract reference. That spring mini abstract reference also will show you what values are going where when you actually accumulate your abstract. And we'll look at that here. So then the last step is to accumulate your abstract. You're going to take option 16. If you run option 1, run your mini abstract here by township, you can compare it to your assessment summary, your plat exclusion file. If you have green acres, you can check out the green acres and make sure they're what you think they should be. Another good way to proof your mini is to list previous. If you have run minis with us in the past, you can go back into option 16 and run option 7, where you're doing a mini abstract comparison. You can also run a new construction and look at that if you want to, or look at previous years. But if you run option 7 by township, it will generate a document where it's showing you what your spring 2025 looks like compared to your fall 2025 and your spring 2020, or your fall 2024 and your spring 2024. How much you've increased, decreased. You can look at this and make sure it's what you think it is. You know, if there's something here where you have like the 200 or 300%, you might want to dig into that and make sure that's what actually happened, what you actually wanted to happen. I am using PDFs here because you now all should have the ability to view those PDFs. If you go up to the top, oh, I gotta get back. Go up to the top of your iSeries, there should be a printer output here. If you can't see these, you go to your view. You would go to your view and say you want to see the toolbar. That's going to show you this. I like my toolbar with text. So if you add text, it gives you your printer output. You should be able to click your printer output and view what's in your spool file, pull it up as PDFs. If that's not working for you, contact our office and we can help get that set up. But pretty much everyone should have their iSeries updated to the point where that is available to them now, and it is really slick. Any questions? If we don't have questions, that's all we have.
I do have a question. This is Bonnie at Pope County. If we are not all updated to the screen looking like what you guys just said with the printer spool, do we have our IT contact you, or or do we just contact you guys, or what?
Well, we'll have to know what version of client access you're on. So I think you would start with your IT.
Yeah.
And then they can contact us, or however that would work. Yeah.
They can reach out to Mike and have questions about that.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, I think that's it for today.
As always, contact our office if there's something today that you were unclear of, you want clarified. Yeah. And I think we're ready to roll.